Hi, this is Julie Schlichty from the University of Texas at El Paso, and I will be presenting the poster Leveraging Digitization Products to Design Flexible Location-Based and Inquiry-Based Education for Remote and In-Person Learning in Response to the Pandemic. I'll be presenting this poster in person with Vicki Wong at iDigBio's 7th Annual Digital Data Conference at Arizona State University on June 7th, 2023. Hope to see you there, but if we don't get a chance to talk to you in person, please do send us an email. Our contact information is at the top of the poster here, and let us know if you have any questions. So the UTEP Biodiversity Collections has spent the past 7 years building up electronic infrastructure and digitized records, and many external researchers have used our data, but it's been used less so internally, and this project was an opportunity to leverage that. So we wanted to create modules that were inquiry-based and location-based and could be taught in both labs and classes, both virtually and in person. And these were meant to introduce students to real data sets and how they can change over time. Our specific research questions were how we could digitize museum specimens and data and how that contributed to student engagement, how to use this data to engage students in inquiry-based learning, both in labs and classes, and how teaching these modules could be adapted for both in-person, remote learning, and hybrid courses. But we created 8 learning modules altogether for 8 different courses from May 2022 to April 2023. We consulted with curators, TAs, instructors, got IRB approval, and also asked teachers and students for feedback after we taught these, allowing us to make second iterations and beyond of the modules and improve upon them. And all of these modules are available completely free, open source. They will all be published on CubesHub, but the materials are available from us at any time. Just send us an email. So we wanted to highlight 3 of those 8 modules that we taught, starting with a rock pocket mouse module called Is Everything Bigger in Texas? This module was also taught using coyote skulls to a freshman class, and this rock pocket mouse lab was taught to a senior level course. So the digitization aspect of this is we imaged 172 Cathidippus intermedius skulls and skins. In-person labs used printed images of the skulls and the physical skins, and digital labs would use both the skulls and the skins via ImageJ to measure different aspects. And I wanted to show you an example of the data dashboard that students could use. So the students got to choose whatever they wanted to measure on these specimens. This is an example of some dummy data for coyotes, so Canis latrans. And in this one, students would pick whatever they wanted to measure, so whatever size measurement they wanted, and enter it on the data sheet here, resulting in a rather large data set for the whole class. They could then choose whatever their research question was, whether it was a t-test or a correlation or regression that they needed to use. And this dashboard would automatically create a graph, either a box plot for a t-test or a line graph for a correlation or regression, and give the students a p-value. And we asked students to focus on the interpretation of their results and presenting them to the class, highlighting the importance of scientific communication and worrying less about how students would create graphs in class. And this is another example graph created by students. The student feedback was very strong for both of these modules. This is aggregated between both the coyote module and the rock pocket mouse module. So you can see an overwhelming majority of the students said that the activity kept them engaged with the course material, solidified key concepts, introduced them to how natural history specimens could be used, changed their perception of data, and encouraged them to explore other natural history collections on their own. So this was wonderful, and we will keep deploying this lab. It is now a regular part of our organismal biology and our birds and mammals class here at UTEP. The second module we wanted to focus on had to do with plant phenology, specifically when do cacti flower and why. So we created another data dashboard using 307 specimen image links, 74 from UTEP. And we wanted to leverage the products from another digitization project and supplement these with global image data describing phenology. So what flowers and buds and in response to what. And we focused a lot on local species, so Opuntia phaelicantha. And it gave students an opportunity to add real data to Arctos, our museum database. And again, using this dashboard, we allowed students to focus more on interpretation than creating graphs on their own. So this is the data dashboard that we used. We asked students to fill in these yellow sections. So they would look at a specific image. They all split up the specimens. This is just one example of an image they'd look at, and they would have to count flowers and buds, and then use another website to calculate total precipitation from the previous year. And it would make a lot of these beautiful graphs. When did things bud? When did things flower? And help them bring everything together and compare it to precipitation and temperature. And again, we had very positive feedback for this module. So this is an example of a histogram that students made, pulling all of that information together. When do things flower and when do those flowers open? And using the same questions I presented before, you can see the students all responded very, very positively. Over 83% were positive on this module. And the third module that we wanted to focus on today was a location-based module. So here, in addition to introducing students to the Arctos database, we introduced students to how museum records can be used to help them find historical sites and several other features of Arctos. And they actually had to go back out into the field to a historic location and see if the bird or birds listed from that location were still there, or if they could find them. And this demonstrates how sites and data sets can be used over time. And again, gives the opportunity to students to possibly add to the database by adding another observation in the same location. So this is the Arctos page. We made a project page, and students could find the catalog records in a list and find all of the information for each and every bird found here historically at UTEP, and then map them all. So this is a map of the UTEP specimens in our area. The students could pick something in their neighborhood, and there's an accompanying worksheet and a lot of field safety protocol the students went through and went and sampled historic locations. And again, we had really positive feedback. I wanted to pick out some quotes from students for this, and I'll just leave them up here so you guys can read them on your own. Feel free to pause. But we had overwhelming positive feedback, and we are planning to deploy this again in the future. So in conclusion, all of these modules, all 8, were highly rated by students in all the subfields. Unexpectedly for us, the ratings were really dependent upon TA involvement, but we are actively making sure that we create more teaching resources for TAs to help them deploy these modules. Here is a list of all 8 modules. Again, feel free to pause the video and contact us if any of these are something you could use in your classes. And finally, we wanted to acknowledge the funding for this project that was provided by an IMLS CARES grant. All of the curators of the UTEP biodiversity collections, all of the TAs that helped us pilot these modules. And again, references for each individual module are available upon request and will be published in CUBES Hub. So thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you at the iDigBio conference.